My name is Ben with Outliers Overland, and this is our story of how one day we were camped on a beach in Mexico, and the next day, everything changed. Any and all plans are being thrown out the window. We're forced to take things one day at a time, which ultimately resulted in a 4,200-mile journey from Baja to our home in Alaska.
Our story starts in Agua Verde, Baja California Sur, Mexico, a tranquil village that rests at the end of a 26-mile dirt road. The journey to this beach paradise takes you through an arid desert and descends through a series of tight switchbacks to a lush coast along the Sea of Cortez. Up to this point, we've been able to live our lives without too much disruption by relishing in the simple pleasures. Fresh tacos and beer from a family-run restaurant on the beach, being mesmerized by pelicans feeding offshore, savoring this beautiful landscape above and below the water, and cooking meals on the beach while enjoying a campfire. We were never in denial. We just chose to distance ourselves from the realities of the world. Just like that, everything changed, and now we drive into the unknown. Up until this point, we had a routine, and it was working quite well. Travel off-grid for a few days to escape the troubles of the world, followed up with harsh doses of reality upon returning, then repeat. Now, the beauty of traveling Baja are the countless opportunities to meet up with people, as there's one primary highway down the peninsula. We first met Tony and Pauline from British Columbia in the town of Los Barriles, and upon returning to cell phone service, we found out they were staying at a campground in Mulegé called The Ranch. We truly believe the universe puts you where you need to be when you need to be there, and this happens whether you realize it or not at the time.
We considered staying the night along Baja Concepcion, but that wind was huffing. I think we also got lucky at Agua Verde to have 2 wind-free days there.
Hacienda de la Habana is a beautiful campground in a fertile valley outside of Mulegé. Surrounded by citrus groves, farms, and a cattle ranch, this is where we were going to get off the road and shelter in place. It even had Wi-Fi and cell phone service to round things out. Camping with like-minded travelers at the ranch was nice. We were all in the same boat, trying to make the best decisions with the information we had at the time. This was also a lifestyle we could embrace. Walks to the produce stand next door for vegetables, picking and juicing fresh oranges at will, swimming in a solar-heated pool, and hand-washing our laundry and hanging it out to dry. The nearby town of Mulegé was small but well appointed. We could stay here for the immediate future, or at least until it gets blazing hot. As the days passed, travel restrictions went into effect around Mexico. The federales were kicking people off of the beaches. Temperatures were being checked at the Baja Sur and Norte border. And the U.S. government was calling its citizens home. Days turned into a week, and harsh truths became clear. The coronavirus will not be resolved anytime soon, and if that's the case, there is no place like home. This entire time, I felt strongly about three things. We were either going to be in rural Baja California, or making a mad dash to Alaska, or safely weathering the storm at our home in Alaska. After 10 nights on the ranch, we made the tough decision to drive home. Keep in mind, driving home to Alaska rolls off the tongue a lot easier than the reality of driving 4,200 miles through 3 countries in the midst of a pandemic. This is getting mighty real. Hey guys. This place has been like a, I don't know, Garden of Eden, safe spot. I feel strongly that we were meant to be here. Even though the drive to the U.S. border was uneventful, it was almost like seeing the world through a new lens. Everything seemed to have changed overnight. We camped alone amongst the cactus. The highway was void of tourists migrating north. We were searched like normal at some military roadblocks, and at others, they surprisingly waved us through. Did they seriously just wave you through?
Just added my baby blues.
What the hell is that? Just wave the girl through.
Well, some people got it, some people don't.
Just sexist behavior is still present in 2020.
Why?
Baja, we love you. We love your land. We love your people. You have shown us nothing but hospitality and warmth. Stay strong, and we will guaranteed see you on the other side of this mess. Well, here it is, guys. Stay safe, sir. Thank you for your service.
April is a nice month for a south to north journey across North America. Temperatures are still relatively pleasant in the south, making for easy traveling through the desert, and spring is in the air up north. After crossing into the States, we picked up Rebecca's mom in Yuma, Arizona, and formed a convoy to Alaska. Lisa and her 2 dogs, Sitka and Gabe, travel full-time in a Tiffin diesel pusher, and at the time, finding secure places to stay was a challenge. She is also a cancer survivor and decided our driveway in Alaska sounded a lot safer than staying down here. For our journey north, we opted to take the inland route. Diesel in these states is a lot cheaper than in California, and we could also avoid the large population centers, except one. Lisa's motorhome had a tire that was losing pressure, and the only place we could find open on a Sunday was a tire shop a few blocks from the Vegas Strip. So while they were fixing a faulty valve stem, we decided to take a drive.
Well, I gotta say, I've never seen Vegas this way, and the experience of driving down the strip was nothing like this last time. There's no traffic, there are no people. I think it's something to applaud everyone for, though. Society is taking heed of the warnings and social distancing.
Upon departing Vegas, we picked up the 15 and headed into Utah. It's a rather easy stretch of road that slowly gains elevation, and the warm air turns to a chill. We enjoyed the added benefits of traveling in a caravan. Driver and passenger changes made the trek a little easier, and when your goal is to log miles, meals on the go are always nice. We park for a night at a truck stop in the high desert. We pass right through Salt Lake City. Idaho was a blur, and upon entering Montana, we pulled into a rest area for the night. The temperatures were dropping, the road was starting to wear on us, and the heaters in both rigs decided to quit working. After replacing the fuel filter on our diesel heater and cleaning a nest out of Mom's propane heater in a Walmart parking lot, we were back on the road. There were still 2 more problems: uncertainties about crossing into Canada during coronavirus, and a weather system from the north bringing snow and bitterly cold temperatures. so we decided to lay up for 2 nights in Shelby, Montana, and ride out the storm. It may not have been the most ideal driving conditions, but we found a break in the weather. If we could push north for a day, the weather would move south and clear skies and cooler temps would be waiting for us on the other side. Thankfully, the Canadian border crossing was rather uneventful. Alaskans going home fell under their essential travel clause, and the officers directed us to avoid contact with people and to traverse their country as fast as possible. Fortunately, this was in line with what we had been doing since Baja.
Fusoda Freightliner.
I read you loud and clear.
Congratulations and welcome to Alberta, Canada. Let's get the hell out of here and get to Alaska.
I like your plans, man.
Things were falling into place. The skies cleared, we kicked the snow off the rigs, and continued north. We have always enjoyed our time in Canada, but we have yet to do Alberta and British Columbia much justice. The reality of living in Alaska is that it's over 2,000 miles from the lower 48 border to our front door at the end of the road. Everyone also works around schedules, so we usually only spend 5 to 6 days traversing Canada. Traveling overland in Canada is quite pleasant. The people are nice. There's plenty of overnight camping options, and the further north you go, the better it gets. The Alaska Highway was completed in 1942 as part of the war effort. It starts in Dawson Creek, British Columbia, and cuts 1,400 miles through the North Country wilderness to Delta Junction, Alaska. The entire drive is nice, but in our humble opinion, it gets really good after Fort Nelson. The Northern Rockies are majestic. Between the mountains, rivers, lakes, and wildlife, this stretch is one of our favorite drives on the North American continent. Upon reaching Watson Lake and the Yukon border, we encountered a roadblock. Apparently, the territory mandated people traveling to Alaska must complete the 577-mile trip to the border in 24 hours. On a good day in a regular vehicle, that is a daunting distance to cover, let alone 2 slow-moving RVs being driven by road-weary travelers. We left the officers and roadblock with a mutual understanding that we will not come in contact with the population and we would do the best we can to pass through in 24 hours. April in the North Country is spectacular. The days are long. Evidence of winter's grip is still present, and the terrain starts to resemble that of home. We made it to the border town of Beaver Creek. Fortunately, there was not a roadblock checking our travel times, but we were close enough to the 24-hour mark. The U.S. border crossing was uneventful as well. I'm not sure what we were expecting, but they let us ride in with no mention of the coronavirus.
Would you like me to turn off my engine?
Anything from Canada?
Pardon?
Anything from Canada?
No.
No, sir.
I'm all set? Yeah. Okay. Welcome to Alaska. It helps if I put it in gear.
With Alaska's isolated location and relatively secure borders, strict coronavirus measures were in place, and needless to say, there were not many travelers on the road.
One little side thought that we would like to bring up is that at the fuel stop in Tok, our first one, by the Alaska Highway border crossing, somebody mouthed off to Mom when she was outside of the rig taking the dog's potty while we were fueling up. But the person mouthed off to her when we were not there.
He made a point to wait until we weren't around.
Yeah, and he said, "What are you doing here?"
Now you brought the disease to our state. He's really, really rude. And my mom I would have just told him off, but my mom tried to explain, my children live here and I have cancer and I came to stay with them, and he was still nasty. So whatever, maybe he's having a bad day or this is stressful for him, and we kind of wondered, what are you doing at the fuel station when you're supposed to be home? But the point is, maybe we could not be so judgy.
Things were starting to sink in. Our friends gave us a warm welcome when passing through Palmer. The roads were more than just familiar. This was home. We've made it to Seward, Alaska. Now what? Firstly, we got Mom set up in our driveway and started a 14-day mandatory quarantine. Friends and neighbors helped us through this difficult time by bringing over meals and going grocery shopping for us. It really warmed our hearts and reinforced why this is home.
All right, guys. Days turned to weeks. Weeks turned to months. The summer tourist season is pretty much a flop in Alaska, like our Airbnb. So we have pivoted. Rebecca is now hosting online parties selling bras without underwires, and they're also really good for travelers. So I can't relate to the discomforts of an underwire bra, but so far all the women she's working with tend to really love these things. So shoot her a message if you are interested in hosting a party or want more information. We are also continuing production on our documentary, Over the Land, North America. There's been some obvious challenges due to the virus, and this little video that we're just doing now, it's kind of practice for a different style of video production. Well, it's now summer in Alaska, and we pretty much, as Alaskans, have the state to ourselves. There's travel restrictions, so you could fly in with negative test results, but you cannot recreationally come through Canada. So really, that does mean we kind of have the entire state to ourselves. It's awesome. The plan now is to go back to our roots, explore Alaska, and make videos. It's really mind-blowing at how everything has come full circle, because 6 years ago, this is where it all started, making videos in Alaska. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this journey and this recap of the past few months. I wanted to do it so I could give you guys some continuity, because we are jumping into Alaska and there's amazing content on the way. Hit that subscribe button and we'll see you on the road.